ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the bullpen with Sean Makes, Cam Smith, John Melber behind the glass. I am Brian McDonald. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get into, of course, a lot of Super Bowl conversation before the show was over. Also going to talk Rockets. We'll start off here with Texans and, of course, Mount Rushmore +1 in the second hour. But, gentlemen, how's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. Busy with the NBA trade deadline, basically taking over.
I know you
Super Bowl.
are a man that lives on the NBA trade machine. Are you
Yes.
having withdrawals now that you no longer have trades to contemplate?
It is a little bit of a refractory period after the trade deadline, where it's hard to get back up on the the trade machine. Knowing
Can we say that? I guess we did. I guess we did.
It's very clinical.
You're right. It is very clinical. You are correct in that. Cam, I don't know if you can follow that, but how's your week been?
It's been good.
Any comments about refractory period?
No. I mean,
I'm glad.
I also enjoy doing the trade machine. I very much like doing those things.
Heard that.
Like I'm a big fantasy mock drafter. I've already started
mock draft season.
Yeah, I've already started doing that.
So who are the Chargers taking with their pick? How many simulations have you run?
Where are they?
I'm probably 100.
What pick are they? 20?
They're 22 right now.
Okay.
Marcus Golden.
Who?
Yeah, don't
Matthew Golden.
Matthew Golden.
Yeah,
former Coug, but mostly a Longhorn.
The thing is you around that 22 spot, Matthew Golden's there, but Colston Loveland is also
tight end
there.
in Michigan.
And I think because he's a Michigan guy, that
because Will Disley dropped 1,000 passes in the playoff game.
Yes, very, very much so. But I also am a big trading back guy. So a lot of times I'll trade back to the 30th and snag a late second or a third.
I think we should just go to Cam randomly throughout the show and ask him who his latest projection is to the Chargers. I feel like Cam's had 30 different projections.
Just give us a different scenario.
Yeah, every time we go to you, we'll have a different scenario. All right, that was more Chargers talk than I thought we'd get into in today's show. We're 2 minutes in.
What was worse? What I brought up or what Cam brought up?
Chargers talk, yeah. I'd rather talk refractory period than Chargers, to be honest. Yeah, I feel like I won't need a refractory period after the Chargers because the opposite happened. Anyway, the bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. You have thoughts on refractory period? Give us a call. HRP listener line 713-780-3776. You can call or text us at that line. Get on the conversation right now about the Houston Texans. So let's start there, like I said, with the Houston Texans. And I've kind of had this feeling after the few moves that they've made to, not really rework the coaching staff because very few changes were really made. We're talking about not even basically two spots, offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. And I've started to have this feeling, and hopefully you guys can show me the other side and talk me out of it. But I've started to have the feeling that they weren't aggressive enough in remaking their offense. They're basically running it back with their offensive line philosophy, it seems. I'm sure there'll be some changes. Cole Popovich will be his own man compared to Strauss. Or they are bringing a new offensive coordinator who will undoubtedly have different ideas as far as run blocking, pass blocking, the offensive line. Probably less zone blocking scheme, more of a like a man system. But I look at that and look how poorly the offensive line played last year. You're probably bringing back most of those guys in the offensive line because you don't have a lot of room with your salary cap as far as free agency. You promoted from within offensive line coach, and even though you did bring in a new name, someone from outside the system with your offensive coordinator, I mean the differences between McVay and Shanahan, I mean they're both West Coast. They're not super far apart. So I just kind of feel like I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling like they didn't go far enough in addressing or making changes with this offensive system.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, especially because Nick Haley is first-time play caller, just like Bobby Sloak was 2 years ago, where we don't know exactly what we're getting with Nick Haley offense. Where is it going to be more McVay oriented, or is it going to be, before the last 2 years when he was in LA with the Rams, he was the tight ends coach for the Patriots for I think it's 5 or 6 years. Are we going to get more of that influence? And Cole Popovich, uh, back in 2019 and 2020, was the assistant offensive line coach in New England. So, are we going to get more of a Josh McDaniels looking offense, or a offense that looks more like those kind of Patriots teams, kind of the late era Tom Brady Patriots offenses? Or is Kaylee going to lean more into what he's done the last 2 years, which is the McVay offense, which, like you said, is more similar to a version of what we were running earlier, or last 2 years with Slowick? I think because we don't know, because he has never called plays at the NFL level, it is fair to say. So it's basically promoting from within at QB coach, or just bringing back the
Yeah,
old
you're just
QB
bringing them
coach,
back. You're bringing everybody back.
bringing everybody, promoting the assistant offensive line coach after firing the offensive line coach, and hiring a guy that we don't know what his offense looks like and has never called a play. That it, I think it's fair to be underwhelmed with how they handled the coaching search.
Yeah, I just feel like when you look at this offense, because obviously all the attention's going to go to the offensive line for how poorly they played. And again, maybe Cole Popovich is his own man. He calls something completely different. And combined with Nick Caley, they completely reinvent this offensive line and their blocking scheme. But even going past the offensive line, because this conversation came up on the Killer Bees, like, well, the running backs were good, wide receivers good. It makes sense to bring back those coaches. I mean, I guess. I mean, maybe they are good coaches, but Joe Mixon is just Joe Mixon. He was good
Yeah.
before he got here. I mean, Nico Collins, I don't really attribute his ascent to necessarily great wide receiver coaches. I think it's more he just got a quarterback and he was already good. Same thing, obviously, with Stephon Diggs. The little time he was here. Like, I don't know if I really look at this coaching staff and go, okay, other than giving maybe Gerard Johnson credit for helping build up CJ, I don't really look at a lot of these guys like, okay, they created this growth on the team. Versus like, well, they just kind of acquired good players. In the one position where they did make a change, I don't know. It just feels like they maybe aren't taking maybe they aren't taking the failure seriously enough with the offensive line. It's like you're promoting from within and bringing in like a Casario disciple with Nick Caley. I don't know. It just feels like they didn't seek out new ideas enough. I guess is the kind of the overall point.
Yeah, I mean, they talked to plenty of outside people. They interviewed 15 different people for the offensive coordinator job. It's just they landed on, the guy who
The
worked
guy
with,
they probably decided back in December they were going
yeah,
to
the guy
hire.
that worked with Casario and went to the same college as he did.
I mean, so like I remember last week when we talked how I said I was a little more in favor of Gerard Johnson, but I think that was more because I didn't want to lose him, but because he's staying on the staff, I'm looking back like I like the Kaylee hire. I think there's always like a hesitation, like Sean said, somebody that's never like called plays in the NFL. But the thing is you got to start at some point. Like
Yeah,
it's always going to be somebody's first year at coaching, and I think even more so with that is Kaylee technically didn't even start off as like an offensive guy. Like in college, he was always like a defensive grad assistant and then like a defensive coaching assistant. So he's really only been doing the offense since like 2015. But he's got a good pedigree. And I think because he's worked with tight ends really well, and we've seen the lack of production from tight ends the last few years with the Texans, I think maybe that kind of went into it too. So at the end of the day, I mean, all the other moves don't excite me, but the more I read about Kaylee, the more I'm like, okay, I'm good with this.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm partly distracted right now because the water boy's on TV. So I have, he just delivered a hell of a drop kick to the offensive lineman he handed the ball to. Uh,
Second round pick.
yeah, yeah. What draft grade? Where would you take Bobby Boucher with the Chargers at number
edge
22?
rusher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you got. I mean, Khalil Mack's 1,000 years old. I think you could use Bobby Boucher on
Joey
the
Joey
defense.
Bosa can't stay healthy, and then when he does stay healthy, he's constantly getting encroachment and offensive starts on the defense, or offensive starts. Sorry, um,
Offsides.
offsides. Thank you. So yeah, no, I'll definitely take Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, I think Bobby Boucher would be a nice fit there for the Chargers. Getting back to Nick Caley, like I supported the hire Nick Caley. I don't mind the idea of the first year play caller. And obviously I like the idea that he came from the McVay tree, but I don't know, something about it just kind of sits. I guess part of it is it kind of feels like D'Amico didn't make the hire. I mean,
Yeah.
considering that he and Caley and Casario went to college together, they spent so long together in the Patriots organization. It almost feels like in a way where, because from what I've heard is obviously the job went to Sloak the first time around. Caley seems like he was the runner up. D'Amico or Sloak was a D'Amico, or yeah, D'Amico was a Sloak guy, and now there's like, okay, you had your turn picking the offense coordinator. Now we're going with my guy. It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel again kind of like they just took all the steps that they like. I would have been fine with Kaylee as the offensive coordinator if they maybe had made more changes. It just feels like as far as back as this offense took a step back, like they could have done more to bring in new ideas and address everything.
Yeah, I think if you would have gone differently with, and this is nothing against Cole Popovich specifically, it's just that like last year he was on this team. He was a coach on the Houston Texans who had a terrible offensive line. So how is it
Yeah,
unless he
they're
was
trying to give him credit. Like, well, he was a dissenting voice, and
yeah,
he didn't like what Strasser did. It's like, okay, well, I mean, he was there in the meetings, right?
yeah, I just like how dissenting was he? And if he was so dissenting and you thought that he had good ideas, why didn't you fire Chris
Right.
Strasser after Halloween, after the Jets game? Like
Yeah,
what?
there was so. I mean, how long did it take him to finally figure out or to get a handle on stopping the stunts and the twists? Like you could have fired Strausser, like you said,
Like
Halloween at the very
it,
latest.
like if Popovich was this attractive of a offensive line option, and he was in your building, and he disagreed with your current offensive line coach who was killing you, what again, why'd you wait until after you give up 8 sacks in the divisional round to the Chiefs, including like basically a sack on every big play late in
Pretty
the fourth
much.
quarter? I don't know why you would promote with it from within now instead of doing it 3 months ago.
It kind of goes back to something we talked about last week, and I think something you said, Sean, how this
Probably.
organization has had a history of not making the change until it just completely
Yeah.
bottoms out. And this kind of feels like that, like, well, Sloak was bad, so we'll make that change. But it wasn't that bad, so that he could keep everybody else. It's just
Mhm.
weird that you're saying this offense was such a disaster that you're going to fire the offensive coordinator after back-to-back 10-win seasons, divisional championships, wins in the first round of the playoffs. You're going to fire him despite all that, but he has to keep everybody that worked under the
Exactly.
like. Are we saying basically Sloak was the only problem?
Yeah, and then that's even not getting into like continuity issues with what Nick Haley wants to do and how he wants to teach, the wide receivers versus how Bobby Sloak taught the wide receivers. So if you're going to keep the wide receivers coach, the running backs coach, the coordinator, well, do they fit with what Nick Haley wants to do with his offense? Or it goes back to how much are you actually changing if you can just take out the most important part of the offensive ecosystem, coaching wise, and keep everything else the same and improve. So it was only a Slowick problem. That the
That's what they're telling us.
rest of the coaches are so good that it was a Slowick only problem.
Yeah, they're basically saying all the other coaches were great, but Sloak was just bringing them
And
down.
not only can they teach the Slowick stuff, they can teach the Nick Haley stuff too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because if you want to believe that Nick Haley is bringing in new ideas, something not radically different, but
Just a
significantly different,
unique thing
then
from Bobby Slowick.
why are they keeping on all these guys that knew the old system?
Yeah, it's just the reasoning, it's tenuous. It doesn't make 100% sense on every angle. I think it's more likely that it's two guys getting promoted or getting the jobs,
Scapegoated, really. I think we really had two guys scapegoat is what we had.
and then their two replacements are two guys with Nick Casario ties.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think because it wasn't it we're not like the Texans aren't in a rebuild. I think they kind of look at it as like, well, why do we need to get rid of
Yeah, they
all
didn't need to
these
get rid of
people?
everybody. Like I was in favor of
Yeah.
keeping Gerard as the quarterbacks coach, and
Mhm.
you could have talked me in. I mean, I know I talked about
It's
maybe
the offensive line coach. It's the fact they promoted from a terrible offensive line.
yeah. Like I could have gone past, and actually, you know what? I would go one more running backs coach. Like, sorry, you don't get credit for Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was already a really good running back for years before he got here. What I will give you the opposite of credit for, what I'll take away from you, is Damian Pierce turned from a guy who was like 900 yards in like 13 games or 12 games as a rookie to absolute trash under these guys' watch. I mean, so I wouldn't have kept the running backs coach. I mean, especially since, I mean, now they're going to have to coach a new system. Like they were coaching the West Coast Kubiak zone blocking scheme, and now they're going to more of a power gap scheme. You're saying these guys that coach the West Coast scheme also know the gap? Maybe they do, but it just feels like if you're going to be making significant changes, why are you keeping in the old staff that ran a different system?
They should have brought in an old Patriots running backs coach.
Yeah, let's continue the Patriots South.
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, come on down.
Some things never change.
Kevin Falk, how would you like to?
Lawrence
running
Maroney,
backs?
what are you up to? Let's just name all the old.
Oh, Lawrence Maroney, good old Minnesota Gopher.
Yeah,
Minnesota Gopher. Who was the? They had two really good running backs that time.
They did.
Who do you remember who the other one was off the top of your head? No, you're just playing. Yeah, you're playing.
They had a lot of really good players.
No, but like the year that Lawrence Maroney was there with Minnesota, they weren't very good.
Oh, Marion Barber.
Was it
Marion Barber? That's it.
I was trying to say Garrett Blunt.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the Patriots having good players.
No. I was talking about Minnesota, because they had Marion Barber and Lawrence Maroney at the same time and still won like 7 games. But,
Minnesota Golden Gophers football.
Hashtag go for football.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get out. We're overdue for a break here. On the other side of the break, we're going to get into some irresponsible speculation on Texans offseason moves and a whole lot more on the Houston Texans when ESPN Radio returns on 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. During the commercial break, you missed finding out that apparently I went to the high school in the 80s. I aged between segments. I thought I went. Well, shut up. I thought I went to high school in the late 90s and the early 2000s, but turns out it was the 80s. So,
that's what you said.
Yeah, life expectancy going down for me rapidly. I lost about 10 years during the commercial break. Not ideal. Anyway, Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, John Belmer with you. If you have any thoughts or want to jump into the conversation, send us a text or a call on the HRMP listener line at 713-780-3776. So, John, we have some audio here from Joe Mixon. You good with that? It looks like you're good to go. All right. So this was from right after the season ended with the divisional round loss to the Chiefs. But Joe Mixon, talking about the offseason coming ahead, says he thinks Caserio may have something cooking up.
I know for a fact that Nick got something cooked up right now. So definitely all excited for it, and fireworks will be here real soon.
Fireworks will be here real soon.
Hmm.
So that was the prediction from 3-4 weeks ago. And then just a few days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it was, he sends out a tweet with just a little side eyes looking. No other context.
Just eyes emoji.
Just the eyes emoji. We all know the one. So I don't know. Maybe this is, free agency is not going to start for another month. So it's obviously not the Texans can't make a move, tomorrow.
No. That'd be tampering.
That would be tampering. It's not even the legal tampering time, which is a whole
illegal
other thing.
tampering.
Illegal, very, very illegal tampering. But I think it's time. Between what Joe Mixon said after the season ended, and then with this eye emojis a tweet, I think it's time for us to wildly and irresponsibly speculate on the big moves the Texans are going to make. Sean, Cam, do you have any thoughts on the big unexpected move the Texans are going to make this offseason because Caserio's going to shoot for the moon?
Yeah, well, this was right after Joe Mixon was at the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Recruiting?
Is he recruiting?
I would say connecting. Networking.
Not officially recruiting, because that might be a tampering violation.
No,
he's keeping it above board.
He's networking with his fellow coworkers.
He's on LinkedIn
in the industry. Exactly. He's making a lot of connections, putting a lot of names to faces. I'm sure.
Yeah, shaking hands.
Maybe it's someone who he knows well from his time in Cincinnati, who's maybe available. What I'm saying is, and this is completely irresponsible.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, welcome to Houston.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting. Cam, you're not buying it.
No.
You got your own reckless, irresponsible speculation?
Well, no, he has T. Higgins going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you have everybody going to.
No,
who in the league is not going to the Chargers?
All the odds have the Chargers as the highest one to get him.
Have you placed the bet?
Not yet.
I don't know. Maybe.
Look, to say that Nick Caserio has something cooked up, that's just an obvious statement because Nick Caserio is always cooking something up in his head. And two, I feel like Joe Mixon is saying a lot of this is just saying because I guess it was kind of a disappointing end to the Texans season. And so you don't want the offseason to be gloomy. So, of course, your star player coming out and being like, oh, Nick's got something cooked up. That's going to keep a little positivity and excitement in Texans fans. Plus, players talk to each other all the time and recruit each other all the time. So I'm not saying that there's not something big happening, but I just think this is just kind of like premature smoke, if you will.
Premature smoke. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was really worried about the next one.
I was, considering how we started off the
now.
first segment with, refractory period. Yeah. I was really afraid of where we were going there with the.
I always keep it G.
Can smoke be premature? Because if there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah,
so smoke like literally.
No, maybe you say he's blowing smoke.
He's blowing smoke, yes, but smoke literally cannot be premature because it's happening because there was fire.
Prematurely blowing smoke.
Okay, there we go. I think we got there.
Yes, thank you.
The smoke itself, I'm really breaking this down, but smoke itself cannot be premature because it came from the fire, which would be a problem.
Where there's smoke.
Maybe I should have said minuscule smoke. A small amount of smoke.
Small
right now.
puff.
Yeah. A
little puff pass. Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of vibing with where Sean went because I think this is obvious. Maybe Joe Mixon's got connections to Cincinnati. Maybe he's in Caserio's ears, like, hey, bring my dude in. But I don't think you're going far enough.
Oh yeah.
As long as we're irresponsibly, recklessly speculating, I don't think it's T. Higgins.
Okay.
You're close though.
Okay.
Devontae Adams.
No, wrong team. We're talking Cincinnati here.
Oh.
I think
East of us.
They're making huge blockbuster trade. Not east of us. Huge blockbuster trade. C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That's it. You heard it here first. Johnny put that up on socials. You heard it here first. ESPN 97.5, 92.5.
Speaking of smoking,
Massive blockbuster
Wait,
trade.
did the Mavs GM get a new job and I didn't hear about it? Did he?
I mean, who says no? I don't.
Both.
all of
I think both-
Cincinnati,
Every person.
all of Cincinnati.
Somehow both teams say no.
No. If you're the Texans, you shouldn't say no because you're getting the better player in both cases.
But I still think
I don't know about that.
You get the rookie contract, CJ Stroud.
yeah, but you're about to pay CJ after one more season.
No.
You're only getting one more season of rookie
No,
contract.
but Joe Burrow's almost 30. He's almost over the hill.
He's not almost 30, is he?
He's like 27, almost 30.
Well, you know that's old. So I actually I'm with you now because you know 20.
Yeah.
I mean you as a 28
Why would you
year
ever
old,
trade for an
yeah,
older player?
Yeah, you know the aches and pains that come with that age.
I do. I do.
So yeah, I get you not wanting to make that move. So in the couple minutes we do have left, I guess let's get slightly more realistic. Any guys that are on the free agent market that you're looking at? Like I know cap space is probably going to be limited, so
Yeah.
this is going to take some wizardry from Caserio to figure this out. As far as I don't know, restructuring some contracts, maybe cutting some guys. I'm not sure how you'd have to do it. But assuming they can make the money work, any move that you notice from these available free agents that you got Joe Mixon eyes on that you hope Caserio tries to make happen?
I'm not sure if I have the eyes on any of these guys, but I mean, wide receiver does seem like a spot of need, or at least not.
I mean,
maybe
I
not.
think it's underrated. I mean, they got one guy right now you like.
Yeah. So I just pulled up the available free agents. Stephon Diggs, free agent available. Yeah, I think you got to look at Deontay Johnson. Just so much talent.
He's a team guy.
So,
He's a
no,
team guy.
actually, or either him or who's immediately. Oh my God! Here's 3 straight people on the spot track list of wide
Okay.
receiver free agents: Brandon Cooks,
Oh,
Deontay Johnson,
oh
DeAndre Hopkins,
man, that's really you're looking at
and then
what-
Mike Williams, and then Robert Woods.
Yeah, White.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah, but he's going back to Tampa. I think that's a foregone
I
conclusion.
would say Darius Slayton if I'm forced to be.
I would
be
like
honest
Darius
here.
Slayton more than Mechie or Hutchinson, but he still doesn't really move the needle.
Well, I
If
don't.
you look at this free agent class, and it's really like Higgins, Diggs, and
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get like what Diggs was last year. Like
in
what
free
you.
agency now.
Yeah, where you're thinking, oh my God, is this one of the best 1-2 combinations in the league? I don't think you're gonna get that. I think the best you can do is try to get a starting caliber NFL wide receiver to pair with Collins, and you hope
And
to have
somebody you draft probably.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you hope to have more of a Collins and an ensemble cast as opposed to a 3-headed monster like they're looking for. So you're just kind of reshuffling what that wide receiver room looks like as far as like the I guess like the stars and scrubs element of it.
That's kind of why obviously you're gonna say I'm biased because I want T. Higgins to go to the Chargers, but that's why I don't think
biased.
he's gonna ask for a lot of money.
No,
And-
he's
and
he's
I
He's
don't-
going to ask for a huge
He's-
bag of money.
and that's why
Yeah.
I don't think the Texans are
He's-
gonna go after him.
he's probably gonna get paid more than Nico Collins.
Yeah, because Nico was like what 3 years, 75-ish,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, he's gonna definitely ask for more than that. I think T. Higgins is completely unrealistic. Like if you wanted to make the big splash, and I don't think they would necessarily trade the assets this is gonna take, because I think it would include a first. But I would say it's more likely that they would pursue a trade for Garrett Wilson. Not that I think it's gonna happen, but they'd be more likely to pursue a trade for Garrett Wilson than they would to pay the money for
Yeah.
T. Higgins at free
I-
agency. I don't think either one's likely.
I was gonna say I think we're talking about like 1% versus 5%.
Yes,
but
yes.
I
might
do
go
agree.
slight like 1 versus 10%, but still it's minuscule.
Well, I'd put it 3 and 8%.
Well,
How
I
about
would
that?
put it at 4 and 9. How about that?
I'd put it at 6 and 9.
I see. All right, Sean won. But I think what I've landed on here during this conversation and looking at the list of free agents is I think you're better off, and again, assuming you can make the money work, addressing offensive line and specifically guard in free agency, because there are a lot of names at guard that I like. The top of the list would be Trey Smith in Kansas City if they don't bring him back. But Kevin Zeitler from the Lions is an older older offensive lineman. I think you could
Zach
maybe get.
Martin is a free agent. He's
Yeah,
old, but
I think he might retire. He was really banged up this
Wash
year.
watch.
Definitely watch. Will Freeze from the Colts. There's a lot of good to upper level guards where the wide receiver class in this free agency period are going to be pretty low. So I think I'm looking at, if I'm addressing like priority, is my biggest free agent spending is on guard, and then I'm probably looking, assuming something falls to you that's worthwhile, because you always have to factor that in. But wide receiver, first or second round.
So, and we can do this quick because I don't know how much offensive guard talk we
No, we
should
don't.
do
Yeah, we
as
should
we're
very
going
limit
over.
it. Yeah, we should.
But are
limit
you
it.
looking for someone to pair with Shaq Mason, or is
No,
it
Shaq
replacing?
Mason's out. Yeah, like if I'm
Okay.
looking at because the other part of this is because of their limitations with the cap. I don't,
You're
because
gonna
I
have
think
to cut some guys.
well, that, and I don't think, because I think part of the time, leading up to this, we've talked about, oh, they should like replace 3 guys in a line. They should replace 2. It's like it might just be 1 because of their limitations.
So
And because they're going to book on, hey, we got a new offensive line coach, we got a new OC. Those guys will fix the old guys. So what I'm kind of think they're going to go with is obviously Tunsil left, Titus at right, or left guard, sorry.
Yeah.
Juice or Jarrett Patterson at center.
I prefer Patterson.
I do too.
Yeah.
Spin big on a free agent at right guard, and then you're
Fisher,
trusting
right
Blake Fisher at right tackle. I think that's probably the offensive line you're going into the season with.
and don't sleep on them making a move at running back, because there's some pretty good free agent running backs.
I'm with that.
And with them losing
Yeah.
them, I don't think they're going to bring back Dare, and you don't know what you're going to get from Dameon Pierce. And
I'm a little optimistic on Dameon. If they go back to more of a gap scheme like they did his rookie year, he was really good. He was really good in that system. So I'm willing to let that happen, but I would at least like to get a better third running back than Dare's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because on this list, you're not going to go after Jones or Chubb, but Rico Dowdle is a free agent.
Is he really?
Yeah, Jalen Warren is a free agent.
I like Warren a lot.
Najee Harris is a free agent.
Javonte Williams, I don't know if he ever recovered from that knee injury, but I'd at least have a conversation with him.
Yeah, third down back.
Yeah, third down back. All right. Let's wrap up the Texans conversation here on the other side of the break. We got to talk about these Houston Rockets, man. 5 losses in a row. Can't close out fourth quarters. Get into that on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Myself, Sean Mates, John Belmer. And right now we go to our fourth man who is live in the Chargers War Room, Cam Smith. You have the latest update for what the Chargers will do with the 22nd overall pick.
Yes, with the 22nd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Harballs have traded back with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, God, we're introducing trades into this? Okay.
Snagging
brother and brother trade.
Moving back to the 27th pick, picking up the 59th pick.
God.
And
Okay, that's good value.
with the 27th overall pick, the Chargers select Michigan tight end Colston Loveland, and with their newly acquired second-round pick, they pick up Jack Sawyer, Ohio State.
A Michigan and
wow,
Ohio State.
Are they going to be able to coexist on the same team?
They better.
I mean, they already have Joey Bosa.
He gone.
Wow. Okay, that went deeper than I thought. We got trade back. We got picking up extra picks in the middle round.
Yeah, I really thought it was.
I thought he was just going to tell me one guy.
Marion Hampton.
Excuse me. I take my fake GM duties very serious.
I could tell. Credit to you. Oh, man. All right. Someone who should. I'm trying to think of the transition there with not taking seriously, but it didn't come to me. Anyway, Rockets is what we're talking about now. Lost 5 in a row, Sean. A lot of fourth quarter. I don't want to call all of them collapses, but certainly they've been up in these games in the third quarter, most of them in the fourth quarter, and are not finding ways to close that game. So I guess the most obvious question here is they've been dealing with injury. You know, Jabari Smith has been out for a while since breaking his hand. Fred VanVleet's been out for a few games.
Shingun missed like
3 or 4 games with an ankle injury. I don't really view either Jabari or Fred VanVleet as a closer, obviously, but how much of this is just, hey, they're missing 2 key guys in the rotation, or something more that we should have more concern about over the second half?
I think that you should have a little bit of concern about this, because this isn't only Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith are out issue. This was an issue when they were healthy as well, when the team was fully healthy. So I think that there is some merit to being like, God, are these guys going to figure it out? And I think this just, gets distilled down to that they don't have a clear hierarchy in late games scenarios among their best players. That there's not hey, the ball is going to be in this guy's hands every time down the court with 5 minutes left. Like in this losing streak, you saw the Minnesota Timberwolves do with Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, sorry.
Played like a superstar. When you have against the Knicks, Jalen Brunson every time down the court is going to close you out. They just don't have that guy that's ready to do that night in, night out. Shingun, their all-star, missed a couple of these games. B, it's a little harder as a big man if you can't just like dribble the ball up the court and do it yourself, that you are more of a dependent talent because you just need the pass to.
Yeah, you need an extra step to get the ball in your hand. Yeah.
And so, Amin Thompson, we love what we've seen from him. Obviously, we're just now on finishing up his first full month as a starter with this team. Not really there yet in crunch time to take over. Jalen Green, obviously, just so inconsistent that
you feel like Jalen wants to be that guy, because I'm starting to hear people
clutch team.
Yeah. Well, it's one, maybe you can't rely on him because he's kind of an inconsistent shooter.
I would say that.
That certainly, I think, is a fair criticism, Jalen Green. But I'm starting to hear people talk about, like, it doesn't seem like Jalen necessarily wants to be the guy with the ball at the end of the game.
I think in years past he did. I think that he is trying to be more of like a complete player. He's trying to get people more involved, and I don't think that necessarily needs to be his role. Like, we have our floor general, obviously, is out, and I think that's another cause for concern. We already had a hard time finding out who could close games for us, and then Fred VanVleet went out, and I think that causes even more of a concern on who's going to get the ball, because I'm not saying it should be Fred VanVleet.
Yeah,
but
he's
Fred
setting it up.
Delegated.
Or it's just like he's just great training wheels. Or if you go to the bowling alley, he's the bumpers up on the gutters where he's not going to help you like actually bowl a strike, but he's going to keep some of these gutter balls from happening.
I like it. I like it.
That's kind of his role in these late game.
Yeah, because they have lost 5 in a row ever since he has gone out, and I think even more so that Minnesota game. Your star player is Sangoon, and I think I read something on like the GameCast where he didn't get the ball one time in the final 6 minutes, and like that is not something Fred Van Fleet would ever allow
And that goes back to
to
Sean's
happen.
comment about it takes the extra step to get
Yeah.
him the
Yeah.
ball, which is, I mean, obviously guys like Jokic are going to be closers. I mean,
But-
Hakeem was way back in the day, but it takes a lot more for the
Yeah.
big to be that guy.
And Jokic can just dribble the ball up the court,
Right,
or walk up past the
True.
3-point line, just take it. Like he can operate out there, and Şengün can do that a little bit, but he's not there yet.
Yeah,
So-
and like I love Ime, but I also think it's a little bit of a reflection on the coaching staff too, with how these games are ending. Like, for why the hell is Shepherd playing all these minutes like he did in Minnesota when one, he cannot shoot the ball. Like he's shooting 30% this year.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's a good defensive player, but right now he's a huge liability on offense. And he played a good amount of minutes in that Minnesota game towards the end when he should not have had any part of that.
And the Nets game too. The Nets game was actually probably his best game of the season. It's just he also, with 40 seconds left, jacked up a 3 for no reason.
And then Jalen did the same damn thing. I expect bad decisions like that from the rookie, but Jalen's in his 4th year.
Yeah, exactly. That's a situation where, like, honestly, just taking
If they just pull the ball up, they win.
or just or just take a 24-second violation. Like,
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
That
yeah.
increases
Just
your
dribble the
chances
ball.
of
They're
winning.
they're falling back into the old Rockets that we saw back in the day, where everything was, we're going to get a big lead and then we're going to continue to jack up threes, and we're not going to go back to the basics of basketball of just scoring points.
There is a little bit of that in these games where you can see it's like they're really trying to just go for like the knockout punch sometimes, where it's just not there. And part of it's like the knockout punch is a 3-pointer. It's like, hey, you guys can't shoot. I don't know what made you think that you guys can do the Steph Curry daggers, but like, just run good offense, guys. Just take your time, try to get a good shot, no matter what it is. I think it's just a bunch of inexperienced guys still making these mistakes, and obviously they kind of vary in levels of experience. Like, Jalen Green was drafted less than a year after Anthony Edwards was drafted, and you can see, when they're on the court at the same time, just the vast difference, not just in like the talent and the ability of these guys, but also the composure late in games.
Like Michael Scott said, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
That's what they need to
we're
do.
crediting Michael Scott with that one.
Yeah.
That's a Michael Scott original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously so.
You miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. Michael
Scott,
Scott, Wayne
yeah.
Gretzky.
Yeah. So quickly, as we wrap up here on the Rockets, I mean, they went into this stretch second in the West. They've now dropped down to 4th, and even more concerning than that, you look at who's behind them. The Lakers, who obviously got better with the Luka trade, they're only a game back of the Rockets, and the Timberwolves, who just beat the Rockets, are now creeping a little bit closer, 3.5 back. Do you have any concern with the inabilities to close, the injuries that? I mean, they're obviously going to be in the playoffs, but the idea of having a top 4 seed to get home court, or even avoiding the play-in, is starting to get a little sketchy.
It is a little sketchy. I do think that just right now we're just talking about like a valley in their season. Like they're not going to have another 5-game losing streak this season. So I think that a little bit is just catching it at the wrong time for the Rockets. I would be surprised if they're a playing team.
So after
I think they're most likely, if you're just telling me like most likely, they're going to be a 4 or 5.
So, I mean, I'm not sure where you had them in the West before this losing streak and the trade deadline, but how many teams have surpassed them with what they did at the deadline?
Well, the Thunder and the Grizzlies and the Nuggets were already ahead. They didn't do anything.
Even the Grizzlies?
Yes.
I mean, they obviously won the series 3-1.
No. Before the 5-game losing streak, the Rockets were ahead of the Grizzlies.
No, he's talking about just not the standings, just
like if they were to play in a playoff series.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
based
like,
on their trade.
So you had them what, 4th, I guess, then?
Yeah.
4th-ish?
Yeah, 4th-ish. I would put the Lakers ahead of them now.
Okay.
I think they're the only team that probably jumped them as far as that. Maybe the T-Wolves also.
I mean, I think that if Julius Randle comes back and he's Julius Randle of old, then I would be a little concerned about
rather than just an old Julius Randle.
I mean, he's still old, but he can like
I was just making the
the
joke.
Timberwolves
I-
beat our
you-
ass
you don't have
without
to
him,
take it
and he was on the
serious.
bench. So if he comes back and he can give you above average Julius Randle, then I think the Minnesota Timberwolves
Yeah.
would be a cause for concern.
I think that when the team was riding high and we're all riding high, I mean it really is just like don't get too high, don't get too low over the course of an NBA season where after beating the Celtics and the Cavs, people are like Western Conference Finals on the table.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought that was a little too far, but you
Some
just
of the shots that went in now don't go in, and
Yeah,
these close games that you're winning by. I mean, you beat the Celtics on a game winning shot by a min. So maybe the shot doesn't go in, you lose the game, and that's
Exactly.
kind of been the case in this losing streak. All right, we got to break it there. On the other side of the break, let's get into the NFL MVP debate. Did they get it right? And did they get it right with leaving Eli Manning out of the Hall of Fame on his first opportunity to get in? That when the bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome in. Last segment of hour one. Coming up in hour two, we will continue the Super Bowl talk. Have a big question. Of course, we'll end the show with our worst people in sports and what we love in sports. And the penultimate segment will, of course, be Mount Rushmore plus one. Big words there. Penultimate. Congratulations to me.
Yeah,
Getting that,
yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
a
guess.
little pat on the
Yeah,
back. Yeah, a
for
little pat on the back. I did a
penultimate.
did a damn good job there. Johnny's not impressed
You
at all.
thought
But
that was impressive?
you're a hater,
Is
Johnny.
penultimate
That's
even an SAT word? I don't think it even.
I don't know. Doesn't
I
matter.
think it's just long.
Good job, B-Man.
Thank you. See, that's all I'm wanting. A little pat on the back occasionally. Sean, no, see, it's too late, Cam. Sean's
Did
put
it
me.
right after you
Sean's
said
put me in
it.
high school in the '80s. Occasionally, just like, hey, good job, man.
I mean, that's when
all
they
I'm
came
really-
up with this word. I imagine.
Okay, all right. ESPN Radio 97.5.
I heard the 80s were bumping.
92.5. Yeah, they were bumping. I hate you guys. All right, NFL. So they voted on some things. Had some winners.
Sure
had
did.
some losers. Some people were angry about the winners and losers. But let's start with the NFL MVP. I don't think really the problem to me is who won or who came in second. It's kind of how they came in first, how they came in second. I think that's kind of the talking point to me. But I guess let's start with just who won, who came in second. Any problem with Josh Allen winning
I
versus
really,
obviously Lamar?
I really don't. Yeah, I think it's between. It was between those two guys. Honestly,
I mean, Saquon and Burrow have interesting cases, but not for first.
I think Saquon's the only one that
For first place, yes. Yeah.
But I think that it's a year where you can flip a coin, and honestly, it could be either Allen or Lamar. You hear both sides. I'm like, yeah, both pretty compelling side. Like, I don't think there's one side that's just like flat wrong for thinking that. And I would even put Saquon in that realm of like, if you want to do something different with the award, like
when's the last running back to win it? Adrian Peterson.
So
like a decade ago.
2012. Yeah.
So
or 2013.
If you're ever going to give a running back the MVP award, I mean, Saquon rushed for over 2,000. Would have had the record if he played.
I do wonder if he played the last game and got the record. Like, he probably gets. Maybe he doesn't win.
I don't think he wins it.
But he probably steals some first place votes.
Maybe that's the case. I mean, the gap between he and Lamar and Allen was pretty significant.
Well, as you're about to get to, I'm not sure how much we can track logical thinking with the have these awards were balloted. That's why I think that if you just play one more game, get the award, like that could actually swing people's votes because
it's completely illogical. Like, so here's the problem. I have no problem with Josh Allen winning. I would have been fine with Lamar winning because Lamar had more passing yards, more passing touchdowns, more rushing yards, higher completion percentage. Like, Lamar statistically, I thought was the winner. The argument for Allen is obviously, and you made a good point on Gallant and George. I guess it was Friday.
Thanks.
Where you said you hate how MVP conversations turn into just who had less.
Yeah, whose teammates suck more.
Yeah, and that's really kind of like the case for Allen is he lost Diggs, and yet they were still really good, and his team won one more game than Lamar's Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have really been fine with Allen, and I was fine with Allen. I would have been fine with Lamar, but if I had to vote, I probably would have voted for Lamar, but no problem with Allen. The problem is, you look at the way that some of these voters broke down. Obviously, everyone's going to focus on Jim Miller, who had Lamar fourth, which is a bit crazy. But the bigger problem, and I believe Jim Miller is included in this, 7 people who voted for Lamar Jackson to win Offensive Player of the Year and not Josh Allen flipped to have Josh Allen as the MVP. And if like they flip, like if you're voting for one of the two for Offensive Player of the Year, what changed for MVP?
And
like, I get the idea of like, okay, let's give MVP to the quarterback. Saquon gets Offensive Player of the Year. That part's fine. But if you're deciding, okay, this quarterback is Offensive Player of the Year, the stats didn't change.
Yeah.
Like, why are you splitting this?
And this is something that I learned, that this isn't some sort of like, it's not two different voting groups that do this.
No, it's the same people.
Is the exact same voting group that does all the AP awards. So
like 7 people flipped it. Like, they voted for Offensive Player of the Year for one of the quarterbacks and then flipped it for the other one for MVP.
Even more than that, they also voted for the All-Pro teams. Lamar Jackson was first team All-Pro quarterback. Josh Allen was second team All-Pro quarterback. Josh Allen, those same people voted Josh Allen for MVP.
Yeah. Cam, can you make any sense of this? I mean,
so I get when they have the argument of, okay, who's the most valuable to the team, and then who has the best offensive year. Like, I feel like you can kind of define that line.
Sure, there's a little separation
but
there.
then when you come to like you mentioned the All-Pro stuff, that right there doesn't make sense. Because if you're going to be voted the most valuable player in the league, then you should be a first ballot All
Yeah,
Pro.
you
I
should
mean,
be
if-
all.
if-
You
if
should
you're
be
all
all
pro,
pro.
yeah.
Like that's
You're,
like
they're
first team
naming
All-Pro,
you
sorry.
the best quarter. When you're saying this quarterback is first team All Pro, you're saying this is the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And now you're taking the second best quarterback and making him MVP.
Yeah, and it's not like like the old I think it's the Maxwell Award used to be like this in college football where
Yeah.
it was basically the second place for the Heisman was the
Right.
Maxwell, but even that they had different voters. Like it was a different
Yeah, if it's
the
a different
people
voting
voted
group,
for it.
then we're not really having this
Same thing
conversation.
with like I think was it this year? I think it was this year where Travis Hunter won defensive player of the year in college football, but he didn't win defensive back of the year.
Yeah, that is.
But it's because two
it's
different groups.
voters. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
different people vote on those two awards. So you see how it doesn't really make sense, but you can see how different people come to different conclusions.
But when it's
This is the same exact people. The same exact people came to a different conclusion. I don't really understand what it is other than maybe because it's so close and you know that people were going to be
Yep.
mad either way. No matter who won, people were going to be mad. Maybe it was these voters just try to kind of split the baby and hey, you're going to get this prestigious award, Lamar, and Josh Allen, you're going to get this prestigious award. Lamar, you already have 2 MVPs. Josh Allen has 0.
That's the one.
So
Like,
we're just going to kind of try to make everybody happy. And I don't know if they thought or if they knew that their votes would be public because we know who voted for who. Like we
I
have
think
the
they
names
did.
on the list.
I think that's been a thing for a while. Like
okay,
I don't
this especially doesn't make any sense.
like I don't put much into the idea of well, let's make everybody happy by splitting it because obviously the Lamar people are not happy. So that would have been a fruitless effort. I do think there's something in what you mentioned in the second half of that is just voter fatigue. Like, okay, Lamar's got 2 already. He won it last year. Like, do we want to make him a 3-time MVP? Because that puts him in like that gives him more MVPs than Mahomes. That puts him in an upper tier that maybe those people are going. And also, I think people have in the back of their minds like, well, he's done what in the playoffs?
Yeah,
and so like we don't want to make him.
Yeah.
We don't want to give him this upper tier of MVP recognition until he's done something more in the playoffs.
And these votes were before this playoffs, the ones from whatever 2 weeks ago when Allen when Allen lost.
Beat Lamar.
Yeah. And lost to the Chiefs. I think that I think it's more about last season's AFC title game.
You only score 7 points.
Yeah,
at home.
Ravens lose at home. They only score 1 touchdown. I think it's just as much about that. And this is something you see in the NBA a lot where guys will win an MVP, 2 MVPs in a row, and then goes like, hasn't done in the playoffs though. So maybe we give it to this other guy. Maybe we give it to Joel Embiid, and then that's the year that Nikola Jokic actually does it in the playoffs and wins the title, and it looks especially stupid. So I think that's definitely a case of kind of the narrative and the playoff narrative getting in the way of the 2024 regular season MVP.
All right, quickly before we go to the break,
Yes.
Eli Manning did get in his first attempt into the Hall of Fame. I think everyone assumes that he eventually gets in because most quarterbacks with 2 Super Bowl trophies and 2 Super Bowl MVPs do. So I think the question is not whether he will get in, but do you feel he deserves to be in? Cam?
Eventually.
Well, I mean, okay, okay. You hit on something that strikes a nerve with me. Like,
You're not your first ballot guy?
no, the stats don't change. Like, I get the idea that because they limit how many people get in, not everyone can get.
Why.
Yeah, but like the idea of and I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but like the idea of like, well, we'll let him in eventually in year 5, year 6. Like, well, his stats didn't change. Like, I mean, do you think he's an actual Hall of Famer, regardless of when he gets in? Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
I personally don't think he is. I think he gets in because of those 2 championships.
Yeah, Sean.
I also don't think he's a Hall of Famer, and I think he will get in. And I
like the people in this show. John Belmer, are we going to make a unanimous sweep?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
All right. See, I had to argue with the Killer Bees about this apparently Jeremy Branham likes terrible quarterbacks. Will Levis, Eli Manning. We're gonna
Okay, they're not,
He-
it's not terrible.
Especially since one of
Eli
those Super
Manning
Bowls
is-
he
ugh.
won because of that crazy ass catch.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
and
it could very well be
who
just
he also won it
one.
because of pass rush. Like his pass rush was
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, OCU
Yeah.
Manura and
And Justin Tuck
Justin
and
Tuck
Michael
should be-
Strahan.
And didn't he have
yeah.
like beast of running backs with Brandon Jacobs, and
Jacobs and
Ahmad
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
I'm
I
okay
think
with the
Tiki
Hall of
Barber was on the
Greats.
first team.
no, he wasn't. That was the year after he retired.
Okay.
Like I think if he had only won one Super Bowl, I don't think this would be any type of conversation.
I think even if they win the first one and beat the undefeated Patriots, but they don't win in 11, like if they just don't make the Super Bowl
Yeah.
in 2011, I don't think we're even having this conversation.
Yeah.
Even with it, like I know this is going to sound absolutely ludicrous. Just remove his 2 Super Bowls.
Luda.
Luda, yeah, thank you. Shout out. But I mean, like you just look at his regular season numbers. He never led the league in passing yards, never led the league in passing touchdowns, but he led the league 3 times in interceptions, and he was never an All-Pro. And I guess it's a difference of or a conversation of what you think the criteria to be in the Hall of Fame is. To me, you have to have been viewed at some point in your career as an upper level top 3 to top 5 player at your position.
Yeah, I
Eli
think that's fair.
Manning was never ever considered a top 5 quarterback at any point during his career. Much less, sometimes I would say he wasn't even a top 10 quarterback in the league. Now, there were some years he were.
And that some of it is because he played at the same time as his brother, Peyton,
Rivers, Breeze,
Yeah.
Brady.
Brady. Like it was very hard to crack the top 5 back then. But really quickly, you laid out the case, the regular season case
Yes.
against Eli Manning. Do you think Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer? There's a lot of times he led the league in passing. A lot of times he led the league in passing yards and stuff.
I don't
Passing
I don't think
touchdowns.
Stafford gets in, no. I would
He's also not done though.
He's also not done. Well,
He thinks he's done. But
yeah, he's completely washed. We all know that.
disrespect.
I'd take Bo Nix over him right now. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing it to the bit. Settle down.
Go to break.
Sean
Go
just
to
threw his
break.
headphones.
All right, we got more. You know what? We got on the other side of the break. I have to say this calmly because I got to rest the voice. But it'll be time for Price Picks and our hype train when ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5 returns.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the Hype Train. Sean Mapes, Cam Smith, John Belmer. I am Brian McDonald. It is time to get you ready for Super Bowl 59 with our prize picks and prop bets this time of the week. Sean, your first prize pick is?
My first prize pick is I want to start because normally we get pretty exotic, and I want to
Just make it exotic.
No, well, I just want to start with one right down the middle of the fairway. Talking about quarterback, talking about their passing yards. Jalen Hurts more than 213 and a half passing yards. I think that this would go hand in hand with maybe.
So is this a pick of they stop Saquon?
I think that's what it is.
Okay, because
you go into the game.
You can't really have both. You couldn't have Saquon have a Saquon game, and I think Hurts go over this number.
Saquon's 112 and a half. I like the less on that, but I like the more on the passing.
I think I'm Oppo on that one.
Swear.
Like you look at everyone's going to throw out the stat or the Chiefs of how long it's been since they've allowed a 100-yard rusher. It's a long time. I can't remember. Long time.
And
long time.
112 and a half is more than 100.
Math checks out. That is true. But you look at what they've done in the playoffs, and neither Mixon or James Cook went over 100, but Mixon was like 4.8 per carry. James Cook was like up over 6 yards per carry.
They just stopped handing it to him.
But Bills have been playing shenanigans with running James Cook all season, where they just don't give him the workload. And I think the Texans, they had to pass a little bit in the second half.
Texans one's different.
So I think for what other team in the league, other than maybe the Ravens, is going to commit to the run more than the Philadelphia Eagles? So unless the Chiefs' run defense gets better on a per play basis, I think Saquon at least goes over 100, 112, and we'll see.
Exactly. And I think Saquon for longest rush. I actually, let me pull that one up.
Yeah, what would be the number on that?
But
because I would agree with you, he would have the longest rush, but I would figure him having the longest rush would be a minus play, right?
Oh, I just mean the prize picks for his longest rush. So
sure.
24 yards.
Yeah. I mean, that feels
plus
about
a 25-yarder.
Yeah. I think I would take the over on that. So my first one is actually a Saquon related as well, not rushing yards, because I do have, even though I laid out the case for why I think he goes over, I still have a little bit of fear of the Chiefs defense. So my Saquon prize pick is actually on his rushing attempts, which I have at 21.5.
I like that.
Yeah, he's averaged 25 attempts over his last 5 games. The only time he went under in the last 5 was the NFC Championship game when they were up, at one point like 55-20, and they just didn't have to run the ball anymore. The other 4 games over the last 5, he had 26, 25, 31, 29 attempts, and he only needs 21.5.
Yeah,
fire on the higher for that.
No, I like the attempts more than yards.
Cam, what do you got for us, sir? Sorry, I went to you right as you took a drink of coffee or water.
That's quite okay. So one of the ones I have, because I think we've already hit on the Hurts one. I have Dallas Goedert. Sorry. Over 52.5 receiving yards.
I think there is some scotch in that cup. It's coming out here with Dallas Goedert.
It was very phonetic the way you pronounced it.
It's tequila.
Sorry, I was laughing over
Goddard yards.
Yeah, what was so you went with the yardage over?
Yeah, it's 52.5, and I think over his last 5 games he's averaged about 56. I think that he's going to be a good safety. I have more concern about the Philly receivers against the Chiefs secondary. I don't think that they have somebody that can completely stop Dallas, and I think he's going to be a good safety blanket for Jalen. And 52.5 is not.
No,
that's not a lot of yards.
And Goddard is one of the rare tight ends that is like a legitimate intermediate and deep threat for his team, where most of the time you're like, in fantasy or whatever, you're like, God, I hope one of his 3 catches just so happens to be in the end zone for a 5-yard
Yeah, I don't
touchdown.
like him for my standard league.
Yeah, but Goddard as like he's a actual receiving like target that they like.
Yeah, and Devontae Smith is still not 100%. So
Yeah.
I think Dallas is going to see a good amount of targets.
Sean, your next one, sir?
The only time Dallas is going to get a lot of targets in the Super Bowl. Heyo.
They'd have to make one first.
Let's go. Okay, I'm just gonna crank up the sicko-ness.
Okay, I should lay this out. Is this the crazy one? Because you told me days ago that you had an off.
I think I used the word heinous.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you know what?
Are you saving the heinous one?
This is a 4-pick. I'll just do one of each as we get more, and I'll go more and more heinous. So Patrick Mahomes, 5.5 rushing attempts.
I like that one. That's one I'm playing as well.
Yes.
I also like his yardage one, but
the yardage, maybe it's just because I got burned in the Texans game, because when he takes kneel downs, he takes like 6-yard kneel downs.
Good attempts.
Yeah.
Or a good point. Good point.
Yeah. So those count as attempts, but they take off the yardage. So you really need him to go not way over, but 10 yards over his projection in case they win and are kneeling it down. So
very astute observation,
yes.
Sean.
So 5.5 rush attempts for Patrick Mahomes. And
I think that swayed me. I think I'll play attempts instead of yards.
And we know, and the actual reasoning, like we all know that he runs more than in the regular season in big games.
Yeah. So okay, so that was the first part of the four-part heinous play.
That is the dip your toe in part. That one's for the casuals.
Okay,
it'll
for
get
the casuals.
More and more.
Should I give another one of mine, or are you going to step this down? Okay, I'll give another one of mine.
Yeah.
So my next one is Hurts, his rushing yard line, which I have at 37.5. He's been over that in 3 of his last 5, and of the 2 that he missed at his last 5, one of them he went only 1 yard under, and the other time was the Commanders game, where 1 he was a little hurt, and 2 they're at on point up by 25, so they didn't really need to play the game anymore. I think for the same reasons you talked about with Mahomes, like in the biggest games he's going to run it more. I think Jalen Hurts cruises over 37.5 yards.
I like that too. Also to score a rush touchdown.
Yeah,
if they get inside
touchdown,
the 5,
like, tush push.
Yeah. You feel good about
that. I feel good about the anytime touchdown, Cam.
So I'm gonna go with one that I haven't gone with all year. I'm going to pick a kicker. I'm gonna go.
Oh, you're gimmick infringement.
Yeah, I'm rubbing off on you.
Wow. I'm gonna go Jake Elliott over 1.5 field goals made.
Okay, I like it.
Prior to the Washington game, where obviously he didn't make any field goals because he didn't need to. All the previous 4 or 5 games, he made 3 in each. So I think there's a very high chance that this man makes at least 2 field goals for sure.
That is very, very. I'm proud of you,
Sean. I think we're about to have a. I think this is the first time this phrase has ever been uttered, but I think we're about to have a heinous off. Because my next 2 picks are also very heinous.
Oh,
are they
heinous off?
Okay, make sure you pronounce that H. Okay.
I make sure I got that H in there. In there.
Well, so I think I can outdo you, but you know what? I'll just pull out enough just to win.
Phrasing
of the heinous off. Since you went with the kicker, I'll do my kicker one as well.
Dueling heinous picks.
Yes.
Sean, go.
Jake Elliott plus Harrison Butker more than 120 field goal yards, 120 and a half field goal yards.
Ooh.
340 yarders get you there. That's all you need.
That's it. That's all you need.
You need 341 yarders.
I guess to be technical.
Or 430 yarders.
430 yarders also.
Wait, no, you said 120 and a half?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you need one to be 31 yards.
431 yarders.
Yeah. Something about field goal props. I don't know if I can get there. I get the idea though. The idea.
There's gonna be one at halftime where it's like a 50-yarder.
Especially since it's a closed arena.
Yeah, in a dome.
True.
2 good kickers.
Yeah, that is a good,
pretty good kicker.
Yeah, Newton. Like as far as
if it was outside, I don't know if I would.
Yeah, no weather
it, but because it's closed,
I would take it no matter
what.
Here's the sicko. But yeah,
here's the first of my 2 heinous picks here. Just absolute disgusting picks. Give me more than 7.5 receiving yards for Samaje Perine.
Same.
Oh!
Same.
Yes!
That was gonna be the next one. That was gonna be the next one.
All right. So he's been over this in like 14 out of his last 15 games. Like especially late in games when they're trying to pick up the 3rd down. Samaje leaking out.
To ice the game against the Bills.
They only need one
17-yard catch.
They only need one. He needs like 1 catch to get this.
I could not be more proud of my 2 co-hosts.
Yes,
a kicker one and Samaje Perine, like
I like that
single-digit receiving yards for a running back. Like, what are we doing?
I like the Samaje one too because it seems like they're going less and less to Pacheco, which leads
he's been phased out a little bit.
I like Kareem Hunt rushing stuff. I like P. Ryan obviously to have 8 receiving yards.
And that leads to my other pick where I have Pacheco under 22.5 rushing yards.
I actually, yeah, okay.
I don't think he's
Mhm.
eclipsed 20 in the last like 4 games. Like he has been
He's been phased out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've gone with Hunt. Some of that I imagine is just injury stuff. Like
He's
he
still
missed a
making his
lot
way
of
back,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. And this is the 4th one. So to recap, the first 3 legs of this heinous heinous
Get the
lineup.
H in there. Good job.
Patrick Mahomes, more than 5.5 rushing attempts. Shamaze Perine, more than 7.5 receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Elliott and Harrison Butker to combine for more than 120.5 field goal yards.
And this is the most heinous, the one you're about to say. If it's the same one I have, I'm freaking out.
Matt Ariza and Braden Mann to combine
Oh God!
to combine for more than 1 punt touchback. More than 1/2 of a punt touchback.
So they just had to have one touchback.
One touchback.
That's it?
One punter has to have a touchback in the Super Bowl, and that hits.
That almost feels like a free square. I mean, I guess it's not. I mean, but man,
I also kind of think it's going to be an under game.
yeah, I do.
Going
I
to be
do
a lot
too.
of punts. Got to be a lot of punts. I'm in position the entire game.
Yeah,
Because all I need is one.
I also like the under for the game. I like Eagles win and an under. Would be my pick.
I've never seen them offer this for any other game other than the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, there's so many more.
I
for
have
the Super
to
Bowl.
jump on it.
All right, so I got one more quickly. It's pretty heinous. I wasn't expecting punting props. It's also a disgustingly low receiving yardage total.
Oh God.
It is so low. The name's not, obscure, but the projected receiving total is DeAndre Hopkins, first quarter receiving yards, 2.5. He needs one catch.
One catch in the
One
first quarter.
catch.
I
One catch.
actually don't like this at all.
One catch. I've actually seen now. This is what I went with. When I actually got it, I've actually seen it now at half a yard. Not that it really.
That's not good.
Not
by the
that
way.
it,
That's
not
not
that
good
it really
for you.
matters.
That means they're lowering the projection.
It's half a yard, man. I mean, look. Hopkins.
That's terrible value.
I think Hopkins probably gets like 2 catches in the entire game. Like that's his upside. I'm thinking, maybe they're on the 4-yard line. It's too far for the little trick play on the 1-yard line. And Hopkins is the red zone guy. Yeah, that's kind of the thought process. But basically, DeAndre Hopkins catch one ball in the first quarter.
I also had a first quarter one. It's for the kickers to combine for more than a half of a field goal made in the first quarter.
Okay, we got one more before we get out.
No.
Okay, that's probably
nope.
for the best. We're over. On the other side of the break, we'll get to our big questions and maybe some prop bets for the Super Bowl if we have a little time. That'll do it for the Hype Train. Don't go anywhere. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. It's the Bullpen. We got a few more segments here, 3 more to go. Quick programming note, we're off the next 2 weeks because of Aggies basketball. We'll be back in March. But right now, in our big question, this might be modified a little bit and include asking the questions on some of these prop bets because they're just fun. Including this one. There's a lot of Donald Trump prop bets. I will keep this very unpolitical, just to have some fun with it. But Donald Trump, what will be higher? Donald Trump's age, which is 78,
Okay.
or A.J. Brown's receiving yards?
I think age.
You think age, Cam?
Ooh, 78.
70. It feels
This
high.
is just 78 receiving yards.
It feels high for A.J. Brown, but I saw a stat about, like what Brown does versus man versus zone, and he's a much better receiver against man, and the Chiefs are top 10 in man usage. So it could lean to being an A.J. Brown game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go higher, but not by much.
Okay.
Maybe like 82.
82. Okay. All right. What will be higher? Trump's weight, which is listed, and I think there's some shenanigans here. And look, I'm not saying I've never fudged my own weight. I'm not saying I respect the game.
Careful.
But they're listing Trump's weight at 215. BS. But let's just go with the listed. Let's just go with the listed weight, which is
president you're talking
is
about.
215, which is not 215. But listed weight of 215 for Donald Trump. What will be higher? His weight, 215 again, or Jalen Hurts passing yards?
I mean, Hurts passing yards.
Hurts passing yards,
Yeah.
Cam?
If this was his real weight,
Careful, guys.
You want to speculate on his real weight quickly, Cam?
There's no way.
Make
he's
a
250.
line.
Is he
Create the
okay?
line.
All right. My
There's
line will
absolutely no way.
251 and a half.
Then I will go Trump's weight at 251 and a half.
Would you take the over or the under if I put it
For Trump's weight.
I would.
Trump's weight?
I would bet on Trump's weight over Jalen Hurts passing yards.
I know, but would you say his weight is higher or
Do you think
lower?
the president weighs more than 250
Oh, sorry.
pounds?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
How much of a fat ass do you think Donald Trump is? That's really what
Into
I
the
want you to say.
microphone, please.
Say,
Are you
I
serious?
am Cameron Smith, and I think Donald Trump is a fat ass.
I am Cameron Smith, and I think Donald Trump is a fat ass.
Hey, look,
Whoa.
hey, that's words of Cam Smith.
All right.
Send your hate out to Clutch City Cam on Twitter.
No, don't do that. No, don't do that.
Snowflake Cam Smith.
Yeah.
Nope.
Liberal media over
That's
here.
how a real man carries 215.
It's muscle. That's the thing. Muscle weighs more than
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's.
I don't know how much muscle building he's getting on the golf course.
Have
Staying
you ever
active.
swung a golf club, Cam?
Yeah, I don't think you build muscle with that. I think you.
Not the way you're doing it, apparently. All right.
Well, I don't golf.
My
so you're right.
president,
I don't
my
have a
president
reason.
builds muscle. All right, which what will be higher? Trump's electoral college votes, which was 312,
Okay.
or Mahomes passing plus rushing yards?
Electoral college votes.
Yeah, college votes.
Yeah, that Eagles defense is no joke.
Yeah. Get 3 over what? 3, what'd you say? 320?
312.
312.
312. Yeah, no, that's high. Because you're what, 250 and
I'm
60
expecting
is
about
what you need?
I'm expecting about 30 to 40 rushing yards. So you'd have to be north of 270 in the passing.
And
Yeah.
he's not even averaging 230 passing yards this year. Like, no way.
No.
All right. Well, let's pivot here. And Sean, if you have the Taylor Swift ones, bring them up.
I'm
Okay.
looking for
Well, let me know if you find them. Let's pivot though to the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar first song, the overwhelming favorite. It's a -150 on the board. Not Like Us. This is in the good. You don't think that'll be the first
Not
song?
first. I don't think he's.
I mean, the list of the other songs are in here. Sean, you got a lean as to which song he goes with first? Anything else about Drake you think might get?
No, I don't think.
Because there's obviously there's a lot there in the back
there's
and
a
forth.
lot of catalog there. No, probably not Euphoria. I think he goes like with more of a older hit. So I don't like he'll probably go with
Humble.
Yeah, Humble. I would say.
Humble's 6-1 odds. So if you feel like that's got a chance, it's pretty good bet.
I have an opinion on this. I think
That's
that
so formal.
One,
ahead.
I don't think it's gonna be Not Like Us. If anything, I think that's gonna be the last song.
Yeah, exactly.
And he plays it 3 times in a row.
I think he plays Mad City first for the simple fact that one of the opening lines is "Man Down," and I think this could be an indirect shot at Lil
Yeah.
Wayne talking trash about him doing the halftime performance and not him and not Lil Wayne.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sean, you back this?
Yeah, I think either of those are good. I mean, it's super hard to pick what is his first
He's
song.
got, yeah, it's a
I
deep,
just don't
it's a
think
deep
it's gonna
catalog.
be. It's not gonna be.
You
Not
think
Like
Not
Us.
Like Us is the closer more than the opener?
I would imagine so, but there might be inside information with how they build these lines because how many 25 to 50 people walking Earth right now already know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Just in rehearsals and
You think-
things like that.
So getting back to Not Like Us, let's say he does close with it, because obviously in these Super Bowl set,
more or less 1.5 times he plays it.
no, well, sure, but where I was going with it, like, because in these Super Bowl sets, it's like I don't know what the word would be, but they don't play the full song.
They
of
do a
the
lot of
songs.
medleys.
Yeah, it's a medley. It's like they play half a song, a third a song.
Yeah,
Maybe they
do
just play the chorus of a
45
song.
seconds of one song
Right.
into another.
So with Not Like Us, because obviously some of it is more pointed than others.
I think we only get two verses.
Do you think we get the A minor line?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, all right. That's as long as we get the A minor.
They
joke.
probably drop I don't know if he says it or if they like drop it out in the crowd says it.
Yeah,
That might be how
that's probably how they do it. He gets right to the A minor and he lets
just
the
like
crowd sing
certified
it.
pedophile. I don't know if I don't know if he's gonna say that into a microphone with 100 million people watching.
Yeah,
although he might. He might.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it'd definitely be a heat check. Do you ever find the Taylor Swift props here?
I have a couple. I have
Okay,
a couple.
yeah, hit us with a couple here
to look at. 1 second. Oh, actually, the ones I pulled up are terrible. 1 second. How many
pivot.
times?
Okay, go ahead.
How many times does Taylor Swift get shown total? 6.5.
I think it takes
Over.
See, I'm gonna take an under because I think she mostly will get shown on like touchdowns or a big Travis Kelce catch.
Yes.
And I think it's an under in an Eagles win. So that's me playing into my own theory of how the game's gonna go. So I would take under on 6.5.
So will she be shown after Kelsey's first catch?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's
100%.
minus 175.
Only 175? Feels like that should be higher. I don't know how they
don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Any more
okay.
There is a quickly,
Yes.
there is a prop bet on who's shown more often on TV, Donald Trump or Taylor Swift.
Swift.
Yeah, I would take the Swift side of this.
I think Trump like
twice,
one and a half. Yeah,
yeah,
2.5,
I think it's like
maybe.
twice.
Yeah, they're going to show Swift every time Kelsey catches it, the Chiefs score, and every time that
or if he scores a touchdown.
Every time a call goes against the Chiefs, they're going to get her reaction to it. With
her
with
and
Kelsey's
Donna
mom.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
and all reacting to it.
And then this one might be my favorite. Travis Kelce to propose to Taylor Swift post game. Yes, plus 600. No, minus 1,500.
So he's okay. Wow, no is plus 600. So love is dead is what this prop is telling us, or at least the Vegas odds
no
makers telling.
Or yes is plus 600.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes is plus 600. So Vegas is telling us love is dead.
No,
He's not going to pull a Carlos Correa.
Overwhelmingly, no.
Love is dead is what Vegas is telling us. He's not. No, he's not going to propose on the field. I don't know.
That doesn't seem like a Kelsey thing to do.
I also think that would be something. If I had to guess, Taylor Swift has told him not to do.
Especially if they lose.
I'm not gonna. Well, no, I think they have to.
Yeah, they would have to win.
You parlay this with Chiefs money line.
You're not. He's not going to. He's not going to go down to one knee while Jalen Hurts is lifting the MVP trophy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's just off to the side.
You can't propose. You can't propose to your girlfriend after a loss. Period. You definitely can't propose to the most famous woman alive,
like
after you lose the Super Bowl.
Like Nick Foles is doing the long Lombardi Trophy walk up through the crowd of players, and off to the side. Travis Kelce's in the inside on one knee, and no one's looking at him while he's proposing to Taylor Swift. Yeah, it would have to be with the Chiefs win. All right, let's get out of here so we can make sure we have time on the other side of the break for Mount Rushmore Plus One. And you're welcome in advance. Best part of your weekend. Mount Rushmore Plus One is next. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. Welcome into Mount Rushmore Plus One, the award-winning, groundbreaking sports radio landscape-changing segment that'll someday land the four of us in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Over/under is 26 and a half years. I'm taking less. You're damn right it'll be less. All right, I'll go ahead and lead off. Johnny, I'll have some audio here to help set me up. But the Astros just released their hashtag, their slogan for the 2025 season. It is built for this. Go ahead and take a listen to this promo for their new slogan.
Reaching the pinnacle isn't luck. It's persistence through the storm. The storm. We know who we are and what we're after. You can try to shutter the Stros, but the window is always open.
Boom!
We are built for this.
Oh, yeah!
It sounds like a
Handstand, baby.
It sounds like a Super Bowl commercial for a truck.
It sounds like Batman did the voiceover.
I also don't know how windows have anything to do with built for it. Like, couldn't you have at least made
Cam,
like
you're
a building?
You're trying to shutter the storm,
But
these windows, they won't stay closed because the storm's it's blowing through, Cam.
No, but the windows, you want to.
The window's
close
always
the
open.
You want to close the windows for a
No.
storm.
What is this? The three
The
little
window's
pigs?
always open because the storm that is the Astros, Hurricane Astra,
Then
blowing
what's
strong.
the window?
window for the title. I can't do
But
the
the-
voice.
The
I'm not
windows,
gonna make
the
it.
window's not going to keep the storm out.
That's right. That's the whole point. That's why they're always gonna. Anyway, okay. Anyway, so my Mount Rushmore plus one is things I'm built for. The Astros are built for
This,
this, obviously.
whatever this is.
They're built for signing Jose Abreu to too much money and
Hey.
overpaying Rafael
That
Montero.
was a long time ago.
Was it? I mean, not really. That's what they're built for. These are the 5 things I'm built for. Number 1, eat cheeseburgers. I'm built for that. I can pound a few cheeseburgers.
Respect.
I'm not saying I might do one. I might have 1 or 2 later today. Who
Wow.
knows? We'll see how the day goes.
2.
I don't know. We'll see how the day goes. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Either way, I can handle it because I'm built for
I
it.
know.
Save some room for tomorrow.
Make it Three's Company and go for 3.
No, that seems excessive.
Oh, well,
I'm trying to
okay.
kill myself at 41. All right, number 2. Next thing I'm built for. 10 a.m. movies.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys know this.
Yeah.
The evidence is there. I in our group text after you guys gave me crap for going to movies. Well, Sean was flabbergasted when I had the setup of I would never go to a movie or want to go to a movie past this time. You thought it was going to say 7 p.m. It was noon.
Which is too early. Yeah, and you said noon.
And I followed that up by yesterday seeing a movie at 10:05 a.m.
Yes, I got a text while I was here at work. In, I don't know, hour 1, maybe the start of hour 2 of Galat and George saying, just walked out of a movie theater today. I'm
So
pretty
it
sure.
was like right. It was right as Glot and George was starting.
It's crazy.
It's like I saw a
I-
movie today. It's
I had
already over.
3 hours of work left, and he's already saw a movie.
Yeah, I'm over here lesson planning and I get the same text. I'm just kind of like, what?
Yeah. I'm built for 10 a.m. movies.
100%.
The other thing I'm built for, I think this pairs well with eating burgers, taking the elevator. I am built for taking the elevator.
Yeah?
Now I have recently actually been taking the stairs more, trying to be health conscious.
Okay.
Probably should eat fewer burgers.
Yeah.
But I am built currently constructed. I am built for taking the elevator.
Okay.
Stairs are a
Okay.
young man's game. I was just Sean.
I don't know how
same
much.
generation. I know you feel it as well.
I normally,
Stairs are a young man's
I
game.
normally take the stairs, but okay.
All right, 2 more things I'm built for. I think this is a that I don't have I guess an over obsession with social media, but I'm built for avoiding spoilers. Like some people complain, like oh man, I can't, I have to try to like go out of my way to avoid a spoiler for a movie or a TV show or insert any random thing that we're looking forward to. But I've never had that problem.
It's just
I'm just built for it.
okay.
I'm just built for it.
Wow.
Like I don't. Maybe it's just random. Maybe I'm Domino from the Deadpool movie. I'm just lucky. But I've been built for avoiding spoilers. No problem.
I'd say you're built differently than Domino from the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, she's a little more attractive than I
She's
am.
built there. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say she's built for cheeseburgers. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
she's not built for cheeseburgers.
Or pizza.
yeah. I also don't think she's necessarily built for taking the elevator. Like she could handle the stairs.
Yeah,
It'd
probably.
be all right for
Look
her.
like it.
Yeah, she can handle that just fine. Last thing not to brag, built for winning natties in college football 25.
okay.
I
I
mean,
thought
I'm
this
just
was gonna be
saying.
gross.
I got.
I thought you were just gonna say built for natty like natty light. I was just like, oh god.
No, that would be funny.
That too.
That would be
too.
funny. No, this is more of a not so humble brag, but I don't know, winning natties with Eastern Michigan, North Texas.
Wait, you won a natty last night?
Shut up, Sean. No, I lost my last one. But I won multiple. I won multiple with Eastern Michigan, with North Texas, and with Rice.
So only one of us right now is a reigning, defending national champion.
Actually, I'm reigning defending in another league.
Get
So
out of here.
yeah.
Get out of here with that.
But anyway, those are the 5. I could do more things I'm built for, but those are the 5 top things I am built for. Like the Astros are built for keeping the window open.
Congrats.
Storm's coming.
The Astros.
Storm's coming, Cam.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What, is
So
your Mount
it's-
Rushmore +1 of storms that are coming? It should be.
Somewhat in a way. It can get us.
No,
It can
it's
get
not.
us. It can get a storm of brewing inside of me.
Oh.
So I
okay.
decided to go pet peeves, and this is after going to the grocery store. So I'll lead off with this one: leaving the your cart in the parking lot when the aisle to put the cart is 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Like
that's
don't
a
be
big
don't,
annoyance.
don't be that
I
lazy.
bumped that up to like 30 feet away. Like,
Yeah.
you can just walk it over. Dude.
I always walk that cart over.
Yeah. It's
There-
crazy to me that people
With
don't.
like the grocery stores I go to, I can't think of one where it has the cart returns so far spaced out where there's really ever excuse.
No.
That's crazy.
But I see it at HEB on
Oh, it
Buffalo
happens all the
Speedway
time. Yeah.
all the time.
Oh yeah, it drives me
Um,
crazy. I'm with you.
The next one is having a speakerphone conversation in the elevator.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah, or
wants
the
to hear-
bathroom.
honestly anywhere in I get walking down the street, okay, that's fine, but when you're like in an enclosed environment,
Yeah.
just go somewhere else. Like
Yeah,
nobody
if
wants
you're
to hear
someplace
that.
that has a roof,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, I was
on
gonna say
speakerphone.
indoors.
Yeah.
And the next one, this will kind of touch on what you did the other day: babies in movies.
Yeah. Well, I don't take my 3-year-old to movies.
And
so we're
even
fine.
so, the worst is when you're watching like a horror movie or a
Like Hard Eyes.
a rated R movie.
Strong recommendation.
Excuse Hard Eyes. Yes. For example, I might go see that, and there should not be a single baby
No.
in that theater. But I feel like every other time I
Now-
go to the movies, there is a child in there, and you can hear them.
I haven't had the problem of going to a movie or very often because I see a lot of horror films. I've never had that I can remember like a baby that I can hear, at least
Well,
that I can hear
Yeah.
in the theater.
Well,
So
because like 11 is normally around nap time for babies.
I thought you were going to say they're still at
Good
school. but
point, Sean.
That's
Well,
a
that
good.
too.
That's a good one.
That too. They're either
Um,
at school or taking a nap.
But where I do see it is like the latest Batman film, the Robert Pattinson. I mean, that was pretty, I think, intense for like a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
But
it's also 3 hours long.
it's also 3 hours long. Same thing with like Deadpool movies. I've gone to Deadpool movies and there's like a 6-7-year-old and I'm like, bad parenting.
I mean, it's not.
Regardless of the noise, bad
Yeah.
parenting.
It's mostly
There's
the
like
noise.
high schoolers at Nosferatu. I was like, guys, this isn't for you.
It's mostly the noise for me because my dad took me to see the original Exorcist when I was like 12. But like,
So that's what happened.
I wasn't making any noises in the theater. So like, that's
You're
one
too
thing.
terrified to make any
Yeah,
noise.
pretty much. Yeah.
You had a gag in your
The next one is when you go to a restaurant and you have a coupon for certain amount off of whatever you're eating, but then the person, instead of tipping on the original amount, which they
Oh,
should,
tip on
they
the
tip
discount.
on the discounted amount.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey,
Poor
you are
form.
really screwing over your waiter who is still doing the same amount of work. You need to tip on the original amount, not the discounted amount.
Yep.
That frustrates the crap out of me.
Okay.
The next one, and I ran into this here: driving on the freeway and going 50 miles per hour. Take your ass to the feeder road or just take side streets.
Yeah.
Like,
I,
you
would,
are more-
I would even up it to say driving the speed limit.
Yeah. They-
Like,
I was holding
You
my
can up
tongue.
it. You can up it, man.
they
I didn't want a
literally-
certified Houston moment of like, if you're not going 70, get the.
Seriously, because I think I
What
read it
is-
somewhere in the past where they said that going slower than the speed limit
It's more dangerous.
is more
than
dangerous
speeding,
than
yeah.
actually speeding.
Obviously, to a certain point.
Yeah.
No,
What would be
disagree.
okay? So I think the average, as far as the speed limit, is 65. Mostly
60 to
65?
65 in Houston.
What would you say the minimum should be for the fast lane? I'd be interested.
75.
Yeah, I would agree. Like it's 75, but you better not have the I'm forgetting the term all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, the cruise control. Like you can't sit on 75
Yeah.
cruise control because you don't want to block people that want to go
Yeah.
slower. But if you're not at least 10 to 15 miles over in the fast lane, you might as well be going under at that point. All right, good list, Cam. Was
Thank
that
you.
the last one?
That was the last one.
All right, main event Mapes. Time
Mount
to do your
Rushmore
thing.
+1 of every Super Bowl ever.
Oh,
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm only doing Mount Rushmore +1. So there's gonna be 54
4.
of
Oh no,
them.
53.
53 of
yeah.
them. Yeah, including this next one. 54 that are out, already disqualified. You're not one of the best Super
This
Bowls
is
of all
the
time.
elite or the elite. Okay.
This is the elite of the elite.
And really, are we actually considering all 58 that have happened so far? Because you've seen 28, or you've been alive for 28 of them.
No, I would say
I'm guessing the 5 on this list are all post 2000.
yeah, they are. They are. Starting off, the earliest one on my list.
Okay.
Super Bowl 42, 2007, Giants Patriots.
The first one.
The undefeated
with the Mario Manning,
Patriots.
or not with the Mario Manningham catch. That was the David Tyree catch.
Yeah.
Wait, is this like your favorite that you've seen?
We'll get progressively more and more favorite.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Yes. Every year people say that this is the best Super Bowl of all time. Just if the Super Bowl is at all close, they go, is this the best Super Bowl of all time? For every Super Bowl other than the 5 on this list, they're wrong.
Okay.
Next, 47, 2012, Ravens versus 49ers. Came down to the
that
last
was a
drive.
great one.
And this was great because it was the last drive that actually didn't involve points. It was a last stop at the end of the
Yeah,
game.
with Kaepernick.
Wasn't
with
that the one
ball,
where
yeah.
they were having issues in the
That
lights
too.
in
Power
New
went out.
Orleans?
Power went out.
Yeah.
Power went out.
Beyonce was the halftime show. It was elite.
It's the last one in New Orleans.
Yeah,
too.
it was. It's been a long time.
43, 2008, Steelers, Cardinals. You had the
The James Harrison.
and
6-6.
then there's another play that won the
the
Super
San Antonio Holmes
or-
catch.
In every other Super Bowl, the James Harrison play is the defining moment of the Super Bowl. This one had a better one. This one had another one that was even better. Fitzgerald had a big.
I'm about to say,
yeah.
people thought the Cardinals were going. I mean, when Fitzgerald had it was like a 75-yard touchdown catch. People thought they're going to win, and then San Antonio Holmes completes one of the craziest catches you'll ever see in the back of the end zone.
When people say that this was the best Super Bowl of time, like the 2008 one doesn't even get talked about, and it's one of the greatest games of all time.
It's elite. I would agree.
49, 2014, Patriots Seahawks.
Didn't give Marshawn Lynch the ball.
Yes. This one's great. Also great these next two are just partially because of the great Super Bowl parties I was at for these these games.
The snacks you're having influenced the voting.
The vibe in the room, the crew I was with. And last but not least, probably my favorite Super Bowl of all time. 42, or not 42. I totally screwed that up. 52, 2017, Eagles Patriots. The Eagles Patriots, the Nick Foles Super Bowl.
It was like, wasn't it 38-32 or something like that?
It was
a high scoring game.
Crazy high scoring game.
Yeah, the Philly play, the trick play to win it. That was great.
Brady threw for 500 yards and lost.
That's crazy.
And I was in a dorm room that was like 50% Eagles fans too.
Oh, okay. So it was hyped.
So rowdy. It was dangerously rowdy, and we were all too scared to root against the Eagles, so we just—
You thought you were going to get shanked?
Yeah, we were just all rooting for the Eagles, and so it's the closest thing I've ever gotten to my team winning the Super Bowl, because for 2.5 hours I was rooting for the Eagles.
You're also having to deal with the being like a home field advantage for like watching the game with a bunch of Eagles fans. Like,
exactly.
What is it? The stadium? What is it in a college football? 25 meter?
The stadium pulse.
The stadium pulse in that
room. The lines were squiggly, and it wasn't just
you couldn't audible. You try to change to the drag route. It wouldn't. And the receiver just keeps turning to you and doing this number.
Everything was squiggly, and it's not because I was 21 years old during the Super Bowl.
And maybe having a few things. I'm just saying. The vibes are good, is all I'm saying. All right. You know what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're doing anything illegal, just the vibes are good. All right.
Nobody does anything illegal here.
I can't co-sign that.
I mean, we work with John Belmer. I mean,
facts.
The odds,
hey, now.
The odds are, I mean, hey, sidebar, John, don't listen. I mean, the chances are John Belmer's done a lot of like illegal things, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Remember, John was talking about putting rats in a cage on somebody's chest, and
Yeah.
also putting batteries in socks.
For the
Too
record,
Fast
I
and
had the
Furious.
light
Yeah.
version of that.
He
You
was-
you were the
no,
one.
Oh, that was
John-
me.
John
Oh yeah, that
was-
was
Yeah.
me.
This
My
is
bad.
a sidebar, John. You're not supposed to be listening. He was talking about rat torture. I mean, this
He coined the phrase rat torture. Rat torture. I don't think anyone put those two words together until
I don't think I can hear you, B man.
he turned off your mic.
Damn you, John. My mic's back on. We're going to break. This man talked about rat torture. Anyway, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Our final segment of the day, final one for the rest of the month, because again, programming no Aggies basketball takes us off the air the next 2 weeks. But when we return, it'll be our first people in sports, our favorite thing in sports, won't involve rat torture. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. Final segment today of the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Dummer with you. Again, last segment of the show. So you know what it's time for. It's time for our worst people in sports mind. It's someone we talked about earlier in the show, but a voter for the MVP and offensive player of the year and all the other AP awards, Jim Miller, for some reason putting Lamar Jackson fourth place on his MVP vote after having him as the AP first team All Pro and as the offensive player of the year. Same guy who didn't vote for Lamar Jackson All Pro in 2019 when Lamar was the unanimous MVP of the league. So Jim Miller, I think, needs to perhaps have his vote removed. He is my
Yes.
worst person in sports. Cam.
I decided not to be a negative Nancy, so I don't have
Okay.
one, but I have 2 quick loves, so I'll do that.
All
one.
right, Sean, that was weird. Go ahead.
All right. My worst person in sports. I don't know if you know what? I'll say it's Nico Harrison for very obviously planting the story and making Ali LaForce of TNT have to give this report in the middle of their game on Thursday.
And Kidd told us just moments ago he believes Anthony Davis does have the shoulders to carry this load. One big concern, though, is just the safety of the players, the front office. Going back to Dallas, we hope fans make the wise decision and remember that this is a game and that lives are far more important.
When you make a trade that's so bad that you have to worry about Bane-like activities at your next home game, which, by the way, tips off in 8 minutes. So maybe I look wrong. Maybe Nico Harrison, the Dallas Mavericks, do have to worry about their lives being at stake.
They're talking like a presidential motorcade
like
is
they're gonna
coming
shoot
through.
down the team
Nico,
plane.
he was getting death threats.
Yeah, but everyone gets death threats.
Yeah,
mean,
I was gonna say Paul got death threats.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Wow.
to say let's remember it's just a game. The lives are at stake. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
They're not gonna. That's great.
Whoever loses the Super Bowl is gonna get death threats.
I will say though, in Nico Harrison's defense, Dallas did kill a president. So I'm just saying, if they're willing to kill a president, I
That's
don't
true.
know.
Fact.
That
Maybe
is
Nico
true.
Harrison's got to watch.
Maybe
his
they
back.
got soft in last.
Maybe they
6
got
years.
soft. We'll see. Don't go near any grassy knolls, Nico. All right, it's time to go ahead and doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility. No more swimming with the anger sharks. What do we love from sports this week, Sean?
I love this quote from one Jalen Milroe, former Alabama quarterback, now going through the draft process. Jalen Milroe asked if he would change positions in the NFL. Quote, "You don't ask a zebra to be a dog." That's just true.
What does that even mean?
That's true. You don't ask a zebra to be a dog.
That is facts. I've never asked a zebra to be a dog.
You don't do that.
I thought he was going to go with something about like a zebra can't change his stripes.
No.
I thought we were going that old cliche.
No, he's not a cliche.
He is certainly not. He
Jalen
caught me
Milroe.
off guard with that one. Cam, you have 2 loves. What are your loves here?
The first one is for Nathaniel Cornelius Robinson, aka Nate Robinson, for getting his kidney transplant after going through kidney failure the last few years. So good for him. My next one is Snoop Dogg's quote the other day when he said, "I have been a fan of football so long that I can remember when Dallas was good, Kansas City was bad, and Bill Belichick's girlfriend wasn't alive."
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a pretty good line. Maybe we should have made time for the audio for that one, but that was a very good line. It didn't look like his girlfriend was very happy with that joke, but
It doesn't matter. Snoop Dogg.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Snoop Dogg could get away with saying almost anything. All right, my love for this week is the gift that keeps on giving. There's more video out there, including him, this man driving around as a bicycle taxi for the people trying to get around New Orleans during Super Bowl week. That is, of course, Jameis Winston, a legend of many cities, of Cleveland, of Tampa, of New Orleans, all over the world, Tallahassee, all the global areas. But this audio you're about to hear right now is of Jameis eating a W, going back to his roots in New Orleans. But this time that W is not his hands, it's a beignet.
Well, when you look at this, oh my God, look at the powder that's coming off that thing. Oh my Lord. Look at the powder. Hey, Jameis, I heard you've been eating a lot of me. Yes, I have, W. Beignet, but I heard that it's only one of you. Well, Jameis, please take your time and eat me so you can savor every moment. W. Beignet, I really don't want any heartburn, so I'm just going to make sure that I eat you as fast as I possibly can and drink some water to get rid of all the sugar that you have. Jameis, I am a New Orleans staple. Everyone wakes up to come and eat me. Obviously, no one really comes to eat you. They come to eat beignets because you're the only WBA that I ever made and got.
He sounds like Tally from South Park.
Oh,
He does sound like
a little bit.
I was trying
A
to
little
figure
bit.
out what he sounds like.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston is a national treasure.
He's the national.
I would vote him for president.
Given our last couple options, yes, I would have
100%.
voted for Jameis as president. Yeah, the
Probably
video
weighs more than 215.
After them beignets, the
after
W beignets.
after the beignets, I think he might be north of 250. All right, that'll do it for the bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Again, no shows the next 2 weeks. We are off because of Aggies basketball back in March. I almost slipped there. Ken gave me a look, but I didn't. Anyway, we are out. Have a good weekend, Houston.
I am Cameron Smith, and I think Donald Trump is a fat ass.
Hey, look.
Whoa.